Maul responds back to Royce the 5'9" for his critical comments of how he talked about Drake during the Kendrick Lamar beef.
It's been interesting seeing the people that have some very, questionable energy and things to say.
I know what you feel like.
It is some people in there that I had said some things, and it's like, oh, okay, like I know where to put, I know which compartment to put you in now. Like we not as cool as we once was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fact. It's a few that has something to say, and I'm just like, what?
That's right. On a recent episode of the Rory and Mal podcast, it kind of looks like Maul responded back to Royce the 5'9". Now, he didn't mention his name, but if you don't remember, Royce the 5'9" made some comments about how Maul was acting out of character when it came to the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef. Everybody knows that Maul was a big supporter of Drake, and it angered a lot of audiences who felt like he was riding, glazing, and just being an OVO hoe, as they like to say nowadays. But in this podcast, he just said, oh, I guess I see like this is more personal than it looks. The people have certain issues with me and stuff like that. But I must say, a lot of you might be like, oh, this isn't about Royce the 5'9". I think it's about Royce the 5'9", largely because when Royce was making those comments, I was kind of surprised at the language he was using.
Especially like Maul and all of them type of, some of Drake fans are like a certain demographic of Drake fans. I can't. They make it hard for me to support the guy.
Wow.
Like I know Maul. I know Maul personally. I've been knowing him for a minute. It's the homie and
of course.
I ain't never seen him act like that.
Like he was like this. It was almost like, yo, little bro acting like a moron. I ain't never seen Maul act that way. He's acting crazy. And it's interesting because Maul and Royce, their connection, their friendship seems to have truly been taking a hit ever since the split up. I mean, remember when they were talking about the Slaughterhouse saga and Royce accused Maul of having bad energy for the way he discussed how Slaughterhouse wasn't relevant and they need to come up with an album, and he seemed to take Joel and Crooked's side over Joe Budden and Royce. So I think this is actually a big issue, and what we're seeing here is a chasm develop between two friends at one point, I guess, who probably weren't as cool as they like to have thought. Like, I believe Royce is firmly in Joe's camp, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Joe and Royce were talking to each other about how Maul was handling the Drake beef with Kendrick Lamar. I could see, a little, look at this clown over here. Look at this moron. And, Joe and Royce probably think they're way better rappers than Drake, even though they never made anything as good as Family Matters in terms of a beef. Let's be honest, let's wake it up. Yes, you could say Drake lost, but Joe ain't never made something as wavy as Family Matters in a beef. Sure, he probably had some lyrical miracle word salad when dissing Saigon, but come on, Family Matters is better than any diss record that Royce or Joe wrote. And also, Royce, he lost to Lupe decisively, like really bad. And then Joe went on his platform and decided to cape for Royce in a way that was, I think, more egregious than what Maul did for Drake. Hell, Joe was like, oh man, y'all don't even know how ugly it could get if Royce really tried to start rapping. Well, I didn't know how ugly because he threw in the towel because Lupe was on his head top. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about Maul seemingly responding to Royce the 5'9". Now, I also wanted to get into something that happened last night on my Twitter space. It was very interesting. So there was an interview I saw where Shigs talked about me, and
when Danny from the stock covered him,
who the hell is that?
Cloud chasing that.
Oh, yo, damn. Son be damn near wanting to fight him, son.
I found it interesting. I thought it was intriguing. Basically said I was a clout chaser, and that's not necessarily something I want to talk about, because I did take that clip and I was like, oh, why could Shigs say this to me? It's out of line. And I just want to let you know, I'm going to clip it in the comment section. It's going to be my pin because I want to support the people who did the podcast. Even though I felt like you guys invested in a narrative just to attack me. And I get it. You have your guests there, so you don't want to counteract them. But this idea that Joe talks about me in a way that's alarmingly negative, I thought that was a reach. Because for the most part, the pod talks about me sometimes in negative ways, but I think they like what I do. But I posted the part of it on my Twitter, and Joe saw it, and he decided to create a space to instigate the beef between me and Shigs. Now, I granted there's been already interactions, but I thought what was crazy was like how invested Joe was. Like, he was really hyped for this. Like, it was Kendrick versus Drake part 2. And he brought me up there, he brought Shigs up there, and the whole night he was just attacking what I was saying. Anytime I spoke up, it was, I don't know, Danny, you might be wrong. But anytime someone else spoke against me, it was, oh, well, someone made valid points, Danny.
What do you have to say to Chigs hiring a staff and you hoarding all the money to yourself? Oh my Lord. Danny.
Joe,
Wait.
nigga, Joe.
Danny.
We're taking my catchphrases and shit.
What
Danny,
catchphrase?
Which
catchphrase, Jameson?
play the clip.
Play the clip is your catchphrase?
I remember when Danny started saying that too.
You gonna be weird with the in the car. It's in the car.
I remember that, Jameson.
Bro.
You cooking.
And I'm like trying to rack my brain, like, why did Joe do this? And I just kind of think he's an agent of chaos. Like, he wanted to see me sweat, but I didn't sweat, baby. I'm ready. I'm more ready. When it comes to content creation, you gotta be prepared. You gotta make sure your mic is loud. You gotta be ready to not take things too personal. And he brought up a bunch of people that did not rock with what I was saying. And when he brought up people to kind of understand my point, he shot them down, didn't let them finish, over-talked them. But I just thought that was a little, quite honestly, lame. Joe Budden has used the Twitter Spaces to undercut me. Maybe he's done it to, I don't know, these older guys that, I was doing it to make you better. Those type of dudes. He was taking shots at my conglomeration of creators that we hang out and we do spaces together. He was hating on the way we do spaces. I hate the way you do spaces, Joe. I think when you was up there having For the Love of Joe, I thought that was corny, but I tried to understand why you was doing it. It was the stupidest thing that I ever heard, and I felt like it was a big waste of everyone's time. But did I go on my platform and attack it? No. It was just an interesting night of back and forths. You really get to see where people stand. You get to see who's playing both sides. You get to see who wants the clout, who's still mad at something you said from 4 months ago that you completely forgot because they don't really matter like that. And you kind of break it down. And it was just a great night. But I'm happy Joe did it. I feel like it was entertaining. But I thought Joe was not impartial. Kind of felt like how he does with Drake versus Kendrick, where he'll pretend not to be leaning a certain way, but deep down he's heavily invested in someone failing so he can be proven right about some cheap point he's trying to make. All right, y'all, that's my video for today. Follow me on Instagram to Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter to Stop TV. Really, man, follow me on Twitter to Stop TV. A lot is going on there. You could have listened to Shigs and me go back and forth. It would have been fun. So make sure you tap in there because that is my second favorite platform and where I put a lot of content. All right, y'all. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.